even, so they always learn something too, which is kind of fun. That said, we're talking about interactive content. What kinds of questions would you like to find out about today? What is your big thing that you've come for that you hope to get answered?
I've been pretty siloed in the School of Medicine and Public Health. And
Who are you?
Is that how we start this?
Sure.
All right, excellent. My name is Blair Buddy. I'm with Do It Academic Technology, and for the last 4 years, I've been embedded in the School of Medicine and Public Health, working on their curriculum transformation of the 4-year MD program. And I've been kind of siloed there, and I'd like to hear other examples of what people are doing with interactive content.
Excellent. Examples. Good. Thank you.
I'm Kristen Dolby from the English Department Program in ESL. I'm also curious what other people are doing. One of my concerns is UW supported versus doing it alone.
Yeah, good. All right.
I'm Lauren Rosen. I direct the Collaborative Language Program. I'm here because John said there'd be coffee, so thanks to all of you who didn't come because that's more for me. I'm actually going to talk a little bit about H5P, which falls somewhere between supported and unsupported because my department purchased it, and so it is supported in that sense. Is there anybody on campus to give me technical support? No, but I don't really need it because it has a big community around it, just like campus does. That's outside of here, so that's good. I'm curious to find out what other interactive activity things are that people are using besides that.
Cool. All right, Tim.
All right, hi, I'm Tim Dolby, also from the program in ESL. And yeah, I'm actually really interested in H5P, so I'm glad you're here. And looking for examples of what can I apply to our program.
Cool. I'm Lynn Prost, I teach in the biochemistry department. I've been playing with adding some interactivity to Kaltura videos, so that's been kind of playing with it. So I'd like to hear
the in-video quizzing, so.
what kinds of, and I'm just interested in hearing what other kinds of tools people are using.
Excellent.
I'm Sharon Toma from Integrated Biology Department, and I'm here to see what other people are doing as well and what's realistic for 900 students in a class. And then also, I just took the online class to learn how to put this online, so I'm interested in seeing what kinds of things would be useful for that.
Great.
James McKay, Do It Academic Technology. I'm a consultant, so I'm here to kind of give ideas because I consult a lot of people on campus, but I also am happy to speak to because like H5P and a lot of these tools are kind of in an interesting spot as far as support on campus, and so I can talk a little bit more about where things are going, so you know what tools might be more available in the future.
All right, John.
John Oppenheimer. I'm an instructional designer / technologist at Division of Continuing Studies, and like others have said, just kind of seeing what other people are doing and exploring the landscape, I guess.
Cool. Andy.
Yeah, I'm Cindy Kurash from the Department of Kinesiology, and I've used Articulate, and I can share a little bit about that too. But again, I'm interested in whatever is the most effective tool to help students not have to read PDFs or something else in order to get the information that they need.
I'm Eileen Callahan. I'm from the graduate school, and I mainly am an administrator, but we do workshops and day-long events for graduate students in the Office of Professional Development. So it's a lot about skills development. And I just took from GCS the fundamentals of online training, online teaching. But my graduate school wants me to do some online trainings. So I'm trying to move from trainings to teaching. And I signed up for this to continue to investigate what I can do online. So I'm here for examples and just very excited about it.
And that's the course Janet teaches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Yu Yan from the Department of Medicine. So I'm the course coordinator for this selective med school course called Clinical Therapeutics. We started adding interactive content to our course with this tool called CFCR. I think most of you probably knew about CFCR. I don't remember how many, when was CFCR available?
2008 was when it was built, available in 2009.
We definitely didn't start back then. Anyways, we had to, so we don't have CSCR anymore. And so this fall, I've been converting all of our CSCR topics into articulate storyline, and also some of our traditional lecture content into this new interactive content. So I've been sort of just working on my own. I have no idea what other people are using these things for, so I'm mostly curious, like most people.
Good. Cliff, why are you here?
I am here, John, because I just love hanging out with you and learning whatever I can in these active teaching labs. So,
He's here for the bagels and coffee.
and bagels and coffee. So, but yeah, I work with the Learn BW team, and I just come because I never know what I'm going to learn. It's awesome.
Maria, do you have any questions or thoughts on interactivity?
Yeah, my name's Maria Liver. I'm with the School of Education. I think I'm mostly interested in learning kind of what all the options are. I know a little bit about H5P, but haven't done much with others, so open ears, I guess.
All right. So now that we have these ideas on the top, the H5P came up several times. I'm wondering if we should just start with that and get it over with? James? Lauren? It's sort of a funny thing because it is a very simple, very kind of elegant solution in a lot of ways, but it is current and it's supported in some departments and schools, but James?
So actually, it is supported for everybody in Pressbooks. If you use H5P, so Pressbooks has now become a supported tool on campus, and H5P is in Pressbooks. Now, I want to be very clear when I'm talking about Pressbooks. Pressbooks, while it is centrally supported, is a unstable environment right now. We're working on that. Pressbooks is working on that. We're hoping within the next year or two that it will be much more stable. But what I mean by that is already this semester, there's been a number of people using Pressbooks where it will suddenly go down and then their students will not have access to that content for a period. Now, it's not like forever, but it is more as occasionally have outages in Canvas or Kaltura or something. It's a little more frequent in Pressbooks, and the underlying reasons for it are less clear, so therefore less.
Does everybody know what Pressbooks is?
And I don't know what
James, can you?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, so Pressbooks, if you've ever used WordPress, it looks actually exactly like Pressbooks. Basically, it's a content authoring platform used to put together online, particularly online contents. It's nice because you can publish it in multiple ways. So for instance, you can embed it in Canvas. You can also publish it as a website. You can also publish it as a PDF. So it's nice for kind of accessibility reasons in that you can have the same content and deliver it in multiple ways to multiple platforms. The other nice thing about it is you can embed or use the same Pressbook in multiple places, and any change you make in the actual Pressbook will filter out to wherever you have it embedded or whatever.
So is WordPress a supported tool?
It is currently getting supported. In fact, we are hiring a consultant who will be starting in 2 weeks and an administrator on our team specifically to support Pressbooks.
I say, to clarify, you just asked, is WordPress?
Yeah, WordPress is not supported as far as a teaching and learning tool by Do It AT, but I do believe it is like campus Do It hosting as WordPress.
So Pressbooks as a sort of interactive e-text type thing, although it's not the same as Engage e-text, which is
Right.
sort of the
Right.
campus preferred e-text thing, or looking like it's going to be. But the nice thing about Pressbooks is if you know WordPress, which is very simple, it's very easy to make these things that support H5P, which Lauren will talk about a little bit right now.
Okay, so first off, H5P allows you to do a number of different kinds of activities that you can create. They're pretty easy to create, pretty step by step, and there is a community of support if you have questions. I'm going to show you an example where I'm going to show you the interactive video example, because what's cool about that is you can create all of these kinds of activities and you can embed them within your video as pop-up kind of questions. I like it better than the Kaltura one because it obviously has many more options. The integration with Canvas, what that means is that you get the analytics. So the information passes directly to the gradebook. When you don't have
Let me,
that-
point of clarification, that interaction with Canvas is supported in your department, your
Right.
school, but not.
Yeah, I was gonna
with
explain
that.
Right, yes. So when you have the LTI, when you purchase the LTI, which is based on number of students, number of instructors, the information passes to the gradebook. When you don't purchase the LTI, your students can still do all these activities and they can do them as many times as they want for practice, but you won't know how many times they did it or how well they did or any of that. It's still good for practicing, depending on what you want to do. And it does have support for math symbols and all of that, so it hits on a lot of things, yes.
Is there anything outside of Canvas on like the H5P? Is there like an H5P cloud that stores the response from your students in any way?
You have to purchase that.
Okay.
You can purchase an outside
Gotcha.
way of
So
getting
even
that
if you didn't
information.
want to pay for it to be sent back over to Canvas, there's still no way to get that
There's-
without
right.
purchasing something.
Yes,
They
you
can still
do
include it,
have
but
to
it's not
purchase
tracking,
something.
it's not storing the content.
Without purchasing the LTI, you can still embed the activities into Canvas. You just wouldn't get the feedback.
So more
And that's
for
how we
students
started.
for informative
Right.
knowledge and learning rather than summative
Right.
assessment.
Now so my program is a system-wide program and I purchased it for my program. I know UW Green Bay has also purchased it. I got a message from somebody who I think is in the School of Ed, but I could be wrong about that, who's looking at it. So my point is that if your department or UW-Madison decides that they want to purchase, I've already gone through legal, I have all the paperwork, contact me, I can make it much faster and easier for you. So I just want to throw that out there.
Sorry, Roseman.
I want to show you, and I'm just going to jump through this. This is a Russian video. It's for first year students who don't really know anything yet. I'm going to show you a few of the different kinds of activities that they get popped up in this video. I'm hoping that we have audio. We don't. I plugged this in, but.
Oh, it's the other one.
um,
Sorry, that's for the system. Yeah, the other one is over here.
Sometimes different stuff fixed.
So, sorry.
Russian dancing bears.
So you can pop up just information to help students understand what they're seeing. You can pop up activities and multiple activities on a particular page. So this one is asking in English about the faces on the wall. And then this one is you have to look at this alphabet thing to be able to put that in order. And then when you do the check, it runs across and tells you whether you did it well or not. Because this isn't embedded in Canvas right now or connected to any other analytic wherever, it's really just student information.
So I want to double check a thing and clarify. Any of those 30, 40 activities that you can create in H5P, it's not just that you can put them on a website or in Canvas, you can put them in a video,
Stick them into a video.
which you can then put into Canvas.
Right, exactly. So this is why it's more powerful than the Kaltura. Because of the kinds and the number of different kinds of activities. And these are just some more. So all these there's little bumps down here and everyone, so the open circle is an interactive activity of some kind. And the closed circle, I believe, is just informational. On the closed circle one. It's hard to look at that screen and then click. Here we go. Yeah, so the closed circles are just informational. As opposed to activity. So that's the interactive video. And the reason I wanted to show that is because it has so many different activities embedded within it. So that's what H5P is for those of you who hadn't ever seen it. When you start, if you're not doing this through Canvas, you use h5p.org. That's free. If you decide to purchase the LTI, and you copy your stuff over to the h5p.com site. And so you can use the activities you've already created. You just don't start the h5p.com if you're not using the LTI or some other sort of analytic way. And they're updating it all the time. And don't hold me to this, but I've been in conversations with the H5P folks about bringing their 2019 conference here in Madison. So, just FYI.
James?
So one of the things just to be aware of, we actually are currently piloting the ability to pass back information from H5P to the Canvas Gradebook on campus right now as part of this. And those of you who use CSCR, this is part of the functional gap as we move to Canvas. So Articulate Storyline is part of that, but we're also, that's why Pressbooks is becoming a supported tool, because it has H5P with the ability to pass back. Again, the reason why it's not being more broadly available and why we're not sure when it will be is because there's a lot of instability in Pressbooks, and then particularly with the H5P plugin and how that whole thing passes back to Canvas. Right now, it's a really kind of complicated behind the scenes solution. So we have only a limited number of people that we have made it available to. But just so you're aware, this is actively being looked into, and maybe hopefully someday in the not too distant future it becomes broadly available on campus.
James, is that only within Pressbooks?
Right. There have been, and again, this is like nothing whatsoever near official, but there have been at least some conversations going on at a very low level about just buying H5P for campus, similar to the way Warren uses it. So just so that you know that this isn't being ignored. There is actual piloting and work being done in this area specifically for this tool. How that all shakes out is very unclear, but it is part of the conversation.
How does it compare with, all right, so any other questions about H5P?
Just a quick little show of hands. Who is using H5P for this one?
And by using, do you mean who has played with it, is familiar with it,
Who's
or?
actually using it in courses?
Okay. Oh, I am too.
Thanks.
How does it compare with Articulate? Have you played with Storyline at all? Is it easier, harder? Anyone? Does anyone know?
My understanding, Dan LaValle is actually kind of our team's expert on content authoring, so he would better be able to, but he and I have had a lot of conversations. My understanding is Articulate is a more powerful tool, but steeper learning curve than H5.
Okay. So it might be an easy entry for language writing, but not as powerful for who use Articulate. Let's talk about Articulate for now then. I know, Cindy, you had some videos you want to show. Do you want to introduce it?
I can just show, sure, I can just show a quick thing. So, yeah, this is just a sort of a quick example of it. And again, just to sort of give an overview, I've just used, I actually was early on with the Articulate when it wasn't just Storyline, and it was a series of authoring tools, and it was Engage and Quizmaker and all that. But now Storyline has kind of pulled everything together, so it looks very similar to, this is new to me, the H5, whatever thing. But it is a very steep learning curve. I worked with another person in our department, and we both just sat together and went, I don't understand you. But once we got it, it was really nice, and the integration into Canvas was pretty seamless. It comes in as an LMS piece, and it went right into our gradebook, and that was fantastic. It threw us for a curve when we switched from to Canvas.
From D2L.
From D2L. We lost a number of our, that's why I can't show you an example, because we lost a lot of our examples. So because they went from, this different authoring tool system to a Storyline system.
Let's just pause just for a second and talk just a little bit about that. The idea of like reusability and how much time do you invest in a tool that may change or that may all of a sudden become incompatible with another tool that we're using or supporting on campus. This is a big thing and sort of like one of the biggest caveats to any sort of what I'll call programmed interactivity. You can build these independent exercises that are great. They will engage your students, but then the next semester, something could happen and they break, or the internet changes protocols, and now all of a sudden you've got to, if you're lucky, you can convert it into the new thing. It'll import and export. But if you're not lucky, and this is, I think, one of the things that we've seen with CSCR, we have this great content created, and now it's super easy to move it into a new format, right? Yeah. Yeah. But it takes some work. So as you think about building things, think about what's easy. Is this going to be easy to recreate in a new environment? And are there other ways to get that level of interactivity with the students? So.
Yeah, it's a great point, and, I mean, so we really liked it, our students really liked it, and then, again, now we are not using it at all. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm the best proponent for it. It was really nice, and I can just show you an example that somebody else made that's probably fantastic.
side-scrolling elements in learning. The results create an immersive learning environment that engages learning on a whole new level.
That's okay, I think they get it. I can't press the buttons because it's going to the video, but it looks very similar. It allows for a lot of interaction and engagement by the students. I don't know if it has as many tools. I really like the orange session. But yeah, so that's basically it. It was pretty expensive. I don't know is it H5? H5P. Right, I don't know how much that is. This was a pretty expensive piece, at least for our department, so we had to combine to get it. But yeah, it was really nice. Our students really liked it, and there were a number of things we could do with it that we really liked. The best thing really was, though, the seamless nature of pulling it in as an LMS. I had never done that before, and they made it very easy. So, and I know now when I've looked at the Canvas, if you do go this way, that it is still very seamless pulling it in as an LMS. I know somebody else was working on it. Do you want to?
Yeah.
Want me to call you up?
I wasn't even gonna call today, but I don't know. Like, I have, I guess, as a person who's working on creating this, the one feature that I really like about Articulate is the review tool. I don't know. Have you all used?
What is it? What is the review tool?
Because when we started using CSCR, the biggest challenge for me as the person who has to make this happen is to work with a content expert. And I work with doctors, so they're super busy. They never have time to sit down with me. And so because sometimes you branch, right? These are scenarios where the user gets to a point and they say, if you choose this, you kind of like choose your own adventure kind of thing. So if you choose option A, this happens. Option B, this happens. But that was really hard to convey for the doctors to convey that to me. So that delayed the projects a lot because I sometimes just had to sit down with them in person and they just didn't have the time. But with the review, do you want to just see what the review looks like? Can I? Yeah.
Yes. So branching scenarios, is everyone familiar with that? Remember the choose your own adventure books where if you go left, you turn the page, whatever, and if you go right, you turn the page, something else, and then some terrible death happens. Those are really cool, but they're really, really hard to keep track of. And they're really hard to build. And there are programs like Twine, twine.org, I think it is, that help you build these things. Again, Twine is not a supported tool, but it's a thing that might be useful to you if you find that.
Is Twine like a storyboarding tool?
Twine is like the storyboarding tool. Oh, look at that, I've got a link to it in our research, in our activity sheet. Good job.
I do not think that there is something like that in H5P.
Branching scenarios.
Yeah, I don't think there's branching scenarios in H5P.
And this is
H5P is a lot of sort of interpretive kinds of activities, from creating a summary of what you've read to, drag and drop, just, sort of information check kind of things.
And I would bet you anything that this is a thing that H5P said, yeah, let's not go there because things start getting really complicated as soon as we do that, and let's keep it simple and easy. And let's be the simple and
They,
easy
yeah,
alternative.
they have hotspot kind of stuff and all of that, but I do not see any branching.
I know one kind of hacky branching thing is in YouTube. I think you can
Yes.
put a link into the video that you can click on. So I've seen people do
Yeah,
the text and then have it
I've seen that.
linked
Yeah.
to their videos.
And there's some great examples of like, do you want to be Batman or do you want to be the Joker? Or which way do you turn, left or right? You get hotspots there. I've actually had students create that as a final project in one of my classes where it wasn't super complicated, but it was pretty impressive.
I worry a little bit about the YouTube just because it's owned by Google and sometimes they create really cool stuff like that. And if it doesn't get used enough, they pull it because they just stop supporting it. But I'd like to play with that more and see how it works because I've seen it too.
Could I just ask another quick show of hands? How many people are really interested in doing branching scenarios? Is that something that people are interested in? A few, half the room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, it's complicated though. If there were a way to figure out how to do this in an easy way without being compliant, that'd be arbitrary.
I've seen it done in slides and Google Slides and stuff like that, but you have to play the slideshow in order for it to work because it bounces you to other slides. So if somebody's looking at it in regular mode when it's not presentation mode, that doesn't work.
So yeah, Google Slides, John.
I was just gonna say, we're kind of circling around the tool as how difficult it is, but I think the major difficulty is in the story itself. So like,
Yes.
Coming
if
up with
you
structure.
are designing a story and like, certain people choose certain paths, you might be changing the content that they get. So you have to kind of weigh that a bit too, see if you're covering all the things that you want to cover in there, whether it's, some learning outcome stuff or just, content itself, and it is really hard to keep track of. You get past like 3 or 4 steps and it's just, it's like a genealogical tree,
And every time, and this is a big thing with education, the way that we've traditionally done it, we bring everybody in class at the same pace along each of the content stops to make sure that they get it all. In branching content, there's a good chance that people might miss the one that you want them to hit, or that you've created 48 slides and only one person goes to that because, so you're creating all this extra work that they may or may not get to in the name of, the choice and offering them a chance to have some agency, which is agency really important in learning? Yes, it is, of course. But is it worth creating 48 slides that might never be used? Maybe there are other ways of giving them that choice. All right.
All right, so this is the articulated review tool. So each one of these topics was created by a different document. So when I'm done with their content, I could just say, so you can go to share and then grab this link. And they don't even have to have an account or log in to anything. They can just take this link, go to this thing, and then they could give me feedback, like right here. They could say, can you use a different picture of me? And then so with each, they don't have to describe which slide they're talking about, which they used to, and I'm like, I don't know which one you're talking about. It would take me a long time to find exactly where they want to make the correction. But now they can just, go to the specific slide and make a comment here, like, can you switch out the character? Can you give her a different expression, whatever? Or just, make comment even on the text. It's a lot easier for me to know
so
what they're talking about.
it's almost like Google Docs that way.
Is there, with the comments, is that, so if there's a whole class in that, that learning object, are those public to everybody, or are they just public or private between you and the student, those comments?
Oh, this is only between me and the content expert. Like, I'm developing these for them, so this is while I'm working on the topics. Yeah, the students, well, they don't have this at all. The students just see this, and then they start following. So I was gonna say that you were saying how when you branch, some students might miss some content. I guess in some situations, because we had some topics like that, and I let the instructor know, because when we got the analytics, I realized some students never visited certain slides. She didn't think it mattered, But now we do this thing where we wanna make sure they have visited all of them before they could go on. I could show you where that is. So this is actually, this is one that I just made last week to kind of show our department, because they wanted to see if they could use this tool for other kind of training. So here are some examples that we use for. I think this is the one. Yeah, so this is kind of like a slide where they start branching. So in the past, they could just pick whichever and then go on. But now they can't until, actually this is because hang on, let me see if that's true. This one. No, this, actually, sorry, because I created this as a demo for the tool, not for the actual content.
Got it.
But in reality, they can, like, when they're on this slide, after these 4 have been grayed out, a new button will show up that says continue, so then they move on, but they can't move on until they visit all the way.
I have a lot of questions, I'll try to keep. So this is really cool. My first question is, this is something that you're doing through 360.com, like this is.
The review?
Yeah, the review, like this is something that gets hosted up on their website, and then you just send the link to Laura Marsetter and say, can you give me some feedback on it?
Right.
So prior to this, how are they getting you that content in the first place? Are they still doing PowerPoint?
This was the CSER.
Okay, so this is stuff you're converting already, they've already, got it.
But like the new topics that we're developing, we have only 2 people, and one of them I got him on board with using Storyline right away.
Okay.
And so he already downloaded it, because to me, it's a lot like PowerPoint. If you know how to use PowerPoint, it's not bad. But I mean, I do all the more complicated stuff, so they just have to give me their content. And if they want to just go ahead and use PowerPoint, you can import all the slides from PowerPoint. And then like I would have to add the interactivity and branching, all that stuff.
There's, the interface is very PowerPoint-like. It's like they purposefully designed it, so if you are familiar with PowerPoint, you're gonna be fairly familiar with the interface plus the storyline features. There's also, I have not used it, the person on our team that does storyline the most found a plugin for PowerPoint where you can do the stuff, I believe, take this with a big grain of salt, that you can do the storyline stuff right in PowerPoint. And she said it's a lot easier to do it that way than to import it. Sometimes with the import, I believe it's something with the settings that like the slide content will move around, you know, and I don't know what might cause that, but she just found that it was a lot easier with this add-on or plugin or whatever it is.
So actually, it's a storyline plugin for PowerPoint, not a PowerPoint plugin for storyline.
Yeah, the content does kind of shift. You have to clean everything out.
You mentioned that you could see, you had some analytics or information about what students were accessing. What does that look like?
Well, so I was talking about in the past when we had CSER, so that was back when we used Moodle. This is Learning Locker. Will give you all the analytics.
And what is Learning Locker? What?
Yeah, so Learning Locker is this, it's basically, it stores XAPI statements, and XAPI statements are those student behaviors that are occurring when a student interacts with either the H5P objects or with Articulate. And basically what it does is it collects all of that interaction and allows you to kind of, it provides a view into what students are doing with that content.
So interaction, like they clicked on this, or they scrolled over this, or?
It's not quite that detailed yet. I think we'll eventually get there. There are certain things like, not yet. What we're doing right now is, and I'm speaking specifically to what we're doing in the School of Medicine and Public Health, It's, did they access the content?
Gotcha.
Or did they complete the knowledge checks that are embedded within it? Those are really the two things. But as I'm talking right now, know that I'm talking about a very immature state. Eventually, we're gonna get to a point where the analytics tell you what was the duration, did they go back, those kinds of things. We're not there yet. And I was talking to Union before we, got into the formal portion of this. Learning analytics is gonna be kind of messy and foggy a little bit, not just on this campus, but in general. So just know that that's gonna be a very evolving space for a while, I think.
And that, I think, goes back to the idea of, before you jump whole hog into some of these things, use some caution and protect your time, because who knows what tomorrow will bring.
This is really
Right.
cool.
It's hard though, because in the meantime, you need
Yeah.
something, right? Like, so,
It's finding that balance between how much effort you put in.
right.
And
compared to what
And
you
depending on what your job is, like your job, you have to jump in whole hog probably, because people are expecting you to be that person who breaks down those boundaries and figures this stuff out. And so there's a lot of frustration in your future. Good job.
We sort of waited
For
and
the rest of
waited
you, you should protect yourselves.
to take on like this, like we have 20 topics. Most of them were in CSDR. Last year we sort of had this transitional period we used Office Mix, like Microsoft Office Mix.
Yeah.
Which was so temporary because Microsoft even took that tool away now. But we had like 6 topics that we used that tool to create. And it's like now I have to cover those.
So here's a question. In learning management systems, we call it portability. Can you create something and then be like, oh, that went away? That's okay, I can take this content and easily move it into this. Did you come up with any strategies for how, having gone from CSCR to Office Mix to Articulate, do you have it down now? You can go to the next 5 easily?
I feel like H5P might be a better and more portable solution. You feel that way? Like, because yeah.
Smaller, discrete chunks.
Yeah. But like, this is kind of a commitment, right? Because like, if something happens to us.
Yeah.
Or like.
But that's a commitment from the school though. So SPH has made a commitment to both Storyline and H5P. So those are both kind of in the suite of tools that are supported there.
It's a good thing that IT and software world is so stable.
Yeah. Well, it's this, putting all of your eggs in one basket versus having lots of little baskets. So if one basket breaks, that's okay. You still have a lot of other eggs and you have to create one egg here. There, James.
I will say, as evidence with the Canvas Trike migration from CSER, is if you are actually using supported tools, then Campus is going to make a huge effort and investment to help you transition to whatever tool.
Right.
Whereas if you're using something that is not supported, then you're just 100% on
That's
your own.
That's a good.
Excellent question.
Is this supported? Is Articulate?
Yes.
This is what? Articulate Storyline is a supported tool.
It's been a long.
H5P is not, but they have a big community, like the Canvas community.
Right. Yeah, I find that really helpful.
Which I find that to be more helpful sometimes than on campus stuff.
I agree. And then their chat support is really good.
But, you know.
That's clever. Please tell more people about this community. Now, so I have a question to whomever, like, are any of you taking the cybersecurity thing that was launched a week ago, the UW Do It? Is that campus wide? You guys have to do
Everybody has to do that.
cybersecurity? Well, not yet, maybe they do us first, but the Do It pushes out this annual renewal. You gotta take cybersecurity, don't sit in a coffee shop and leave your laptop open with the network connection and so people can walk by and steal your data. Don't, just good bad practices. So that's out there and there is an interactive, right? There's an interactive video for you. I don't know if you guys have taken this yet, but I don't know how does that ever fit? I mean, to me, that's interactive. I've always been kind of thrown off by the phrase interactive content because a quiz is interactive and Canvas has quizzes, discussions are interactive, but So like, I don't know where the threshold switches, we go from kind of boring interaction to like engaged, lots of back and forth and stop and start and make choices. So like, I was gonna ask if any of you have taken the cybersecurity quiz, like how does that fit into the spectrum of?
Depends on how interested you are in cybersecurity.
No, it's
Whether you're engaged or
it's
not,
actually
right?
very good. You listen to audio and then it stops and then there's buttons and you have to click and then you have to read things and you have to make a choice and then it'll quiz you and say, oh, sorry, that was incorrect.
Also, is it a little like the sexual harassment training?
Yes.
We all have to do
Probably
that.
the same rules.
Yeah. Yeah, so and do we know what was that produced at? Was that
No, I don't.
particular as well? Or
guess it was Articulate or Captivate.
So, anyways, that's cool. I mean, that was neat. And to me, that's pretty darn impressive.
Those are very expensive to produce because they take a specialist. It's not a general.
And it's gotta be a long process to do that. So you can't just sit down and whip one up over the weekend or something. You have I want to do this topic. You can't just sit down and generate that spontaneously.
Right, and whereas with H5P you can't. They designed it for sort of the novice user. This idea of interactivity, like what is it? So in the active learning spectrum, there's passive, active, constructive, and interactive. And what they mean there is interactive is it's the highest level of active learning, and that is engaging with what they call a smart agent, which could be a programmed thing, or it could just as easily be a colleague or peer or classmate who is also struggling with the same question that you are. Which brings us to the point of you can program all of this stuff into the digital environment, or you can just create a couple of activities where students are engaging with each other, engaging with a professional in the community, engaging with a group of their classmates, engaging with all kinds of other intelligent agents in order to create the learning themselves. As reliable, will they hit the same things that you've programmed in and checked off all the checkboxes? Not necessarily unless you've structured it well, but certainly a lot more engaging, oftentimes I think, than talking with another person, because then we can respond to each other, questions that have never been programmed in, that the initial programmer didn't ever think of, or the content expert never thought of, that we can bring up and say, oh, what about this new way of looking at things, rather than paths that have already been done. So interactivity has sort of a lot of meanings, like what is interactive in different areas of those different things. How about Kaltura? Has anybody used Kaltura?
Yeah, I've tried. I kind of, essentially, so I teach a lab course and I had like a demo video. And I just kind of wanted to put a couple of knowledge checks into the video.
Yeah.
And it was easy to do. And I put it into put it into Canvas. Kaltura is easy with Canvas, so that worked well. I haven't, I don't have that learning analytics. I haven't explored like how much students are using it or how useful students find it. But I thought it was easy to make. You were much more limited than the H5P that you were showing, so that was cool that you could do so many different types of questions in the video.
Yeah, there's true, false, multiple choice, and
That's all that I've used. Is there a short answer?
Short answer.
There may be, but I haven't.
that's right. But it's a thing like multiple choice and true and false are automatically checked, whereas short answer is the thing that you have to go into on your own. With H5P, I know that the short answer you can say, here are several different versions of the spelling. If you get any of them, you get points. You get the good job for it. So.
After I sat down, I noticed that there's something called presentation in H5P, and so I just played with the little example they had. And it was like you could do PowerPoint slides with embedded questions in it, which I thought was also, so it doesn't have to be video too.
Right.
So the student would kind of see a slide and they could kind of go through slides.
Yeah, so you go through a series of slides of information, and then you get to a slide with this, you can have a series of different kinds of questions. And then move on to more slides. Now I need to play with that one.
And what was the name of that again?
It's in H5P and it's just called presentation.
Thanks.
Yeah, h5p.org is the page to go to that has examples of, they keep adding more. There were like 30, I don't know how many there are right now. And I'm not familiar with all
So,
of them.
yeah, when you get to h5p.org, it says examples and downloads. Click on that, and that's where you'll see the list of all kinds of.
John?
Question, do any of these tools, without the integration with like Canvas or whatever, do they have anything where it's like at the end, the answers are populated to like an email or some sort of downloadable thing? Like, I think about like the maybe short/long answer things where students are required to type a response to a prompt, right? Oftentimes I see people develop those that they just do that as a, here, go and do that, and then they get some feedback. Sometimes they don't get the feedback that, is appropriate, more often than I'd like to see. And so the students took the time to type this thing out, and then they get some shoddy feedback, and then that's all they have, and there's no way of storing that or for them to kind of download and reflect on later or send it to their instructor via email or whatever they want to do. Is there any way of doing that?
Again, kind of a hacky way that I'm just brainstorming now would be to embed that video into a quiz and then put the short answer question.
I'm just going to show that. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned it. But yeah, in the quiz question themselves, because you've got this rich text/HTML space, you can create those H5P little modules, have them do that interaction, and then below that have a question of, sort of a repeat question. What did you find from this interaction? What was the answer that you came up with? So you get the interactive element with the slide stopping and the video stopping and these things happening. But then the questions, instead of being in the video themselves, would be down here, or they could be both.
Yeah.
It's not great.
It's
a
not,
hacky
and it's
solution.
one of the things that I do look for is sort of that, like a somewhat formative assessment or a, I guess summative, but not for like grade's sake necessarily, but for the student to kind of check where they are before like a big quiz or an exam or something like that, where they can download it and kind of reflect like, oh, this is what I said. I mean, they can be captured here, but then they have to go into the tool to find their answers and all that. But yeah.
So in Kaltura, honestly, this is why I haven't used the short answer questions, because I don't know what happens to the answers. Does anyone, there must be a way to see them. Does anyone know?
Well, so the reason I brought this up is because oftentimes those answers just go away, and like a student will go and hit back or whatever, and then their answer to the slide or whatever it is before is just gone. So now they're just like, type your answer here again, So.
And I think, as Blair said, it's a messy space. People are trying to figure out how to deal with all of this right now, and we're just getting started. And I think that, as technology keeps changing, it's going to keep changing, and it'll get better, and it'll get easier, hopefully. Although there are more parts that are moving and they have to talk to each other. Whereas before, I think we would create a one-stop solution. And I think CSCR was, for example, a good example of it's just one tool that does all of the things. But if it breaks, all of the things break too. So.
One thing that's, I don't know if this counts as interaction, but something I like about Kaltura is that people can annotate videos with time-stamped comments. So that could be maybe an interactive exercise of adding in annotations or supplementing the materials.
Do you know, is this a thing that can be open for students to annotate as well?
I think so.
So you can have a video and say, put a comment at your favorite part of the video or address one component of the video and explain or add your own annotations or your own footnotes to these secret symbolic messages within the slides, or what do these things mean, and then have them actually create a crowdsourced class project of a video that is fully annotated and all of the references that Hitchcock uses or whatever, are put in place. That's kind of a neat thing.
So the question too, going similar to what I asked before, is that something that's public for all students to see? Or is it like individual annotations for like, writing in the margin of your book or something like that?
Yeah, to my knowledge, I think it's just public by default.
Yeah, kind of like a voice thread.
Yeah.
And in the rich text editor now, Kaltura is built into Canvas very nicely, and there's a class media as well as one's individual media. So you can have all of the stuff for the class that the students can access and that you can access on your own as well. So it's becoming a pretty cool tool as well.
And the video annotation thing, is that something where like if it's an individual student submission where they use the record feature or whatever, that they, the instructor can give a learner feedback?
If they offer it, if they put it in the course channel, I believe that is the case.
But is that public to everybody then, or is it, still just the, it's sort of like an individual student's?
I don't know.
Good,
You're welcome. We only have 5 minutes left. Are there other things that we should talk about here? Or any other new questions that came up that you want to make sure that we hit before you leave today?
Scale with scalability, right?
Scale with scalability, yeah. So again, it's, if you build one of these interactive things, you can share it with the world, right? You don't have to set up, a small cohort of trusting students to be able to talk to each other. You can sort of have that all created on their own.
Oh, sorry, I guess I got excited. Just yesterday, I saw Purdue Owl has made a ton of H5P things around research and just a lot. So, and then you can just use those and pull them into your course data.
Purdue Owl is a higher search result than Purdue football. So that tells you a lot of people are hitting that
That says
page
a lot.
right now.
I would maybe Google it with H5P also.
H5P.
I'll see if I can find it and then.
How about Excelsior all H5P?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
So, yeah, shareable content. That's sort of an interesting thing. Are there areas that you don't have to reinvent the wheel by creating your own thing? Can you just go take other people's content and change it? I know in with H5P, a lot of it is it's easy to take somebody else's stuff and say, I want to change in this video instead of that video, and I want to change the questions. That's a fairly easy thing to do, to share those out. All right, we only have 2 minutes left. One of the things that I'd like you to answer at the bottom of this, please, is 60 minutes, 75 minutes, 90 minutes? Should this be a little bit longer? Should these stay at 60 minutes? And then any other information you want to give us? That'd be great. Oh, and any labs you'd like to see next semester or in the future, maybe next year, write those down at the bottom here as well, please. Thank you all for coming. Grab some more coffee and orange juice and bagels for your way out. And thanks.
Thank you. That H5P